This is Common Sense Radio. Straightforward and no excuses.
All right. Come on now.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Call me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What I said was perfectly right and spot on accurate.
Boy's got a mouth like a cannon, always shooting it all.
Stop.
Got it in
Yeah, stop. I mean, you're way off script.
Got it in me. Gonna quit until it all comes out.
Hey, boy!
Been a long education.
Yeah, you know, it's not cynical. It's common sense.
Pay attention to me when I'm talking to you.
I'm gonna rock the nation. Rock the nation.
Genuine, accountable, and raw. Here is Steve Gruber.
It's Free for All Friday, my friends, and welcome to it. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Now, I'm going to tell you right from the beginning today, you're going to need extra paper and an extra sharp pencil because there's a lot happening today. And you're going to need to take notes. This class is going to be exceptional today. And I don't say that casually. On the program today, we will have Governor Rick Snyder. Governor Rick Snyder will be here a little bit later. We're going to talk for about a half an hour. We're going to cover topics like roads and taxes, his call for more Middle Eastern refugees to settle in Michigan, and the battle over the so-called guns everywhere. The guns everywhere legislation that's coming our way. The governor will make a major announcement concerning gun control and concealed carry in Michigan. That's coming up a little bit later on the program. You do not want to miss what he has to say about this. It may affect you and well, it affects all of us. Make no mistake, also today, we will talk to you on a more fun note. Jimmy Gretzinger will be here, the host of Michigan Out of Doors. You know, it's that time of the year. Jimmy's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's going to be here talking about what's happening around Michigan when you get outside and so forth. And we'll also have Ron Van Timmeren taking us to the movies. Serious things. But first, I have to start with these race bullies. And I can come up with no other term, the race bullies that are taking over campuses around the nation. You know, you watch it happen now. You've seen it happen several times. The groups, they begin to coalesce around their target. The person can feel the crowd moving in, the circle tightening, voices beginning to get louder. What do you think you're doing? Who are you looking at? Who do you think you are? And usually these are professors and so forth. The crowds grow larger. Their anger focuses on the person they believe guilty of the transgression. And what is the crime? Not thinking the same way they do, not agreeing with the crowd. Yeah, not agreeing with everybody there. Independent thinking is no longer tolerated on many college campuses. Instead of free thinking, students are instead seeking safe zones. A place where they will never be offended by anyone or anything. Actually, they'll never be challenged with anything new either. They are places where thoughts, for the most part, are banned. The mob will gather and you will become the target of the new campus bullies. Make no mistake. And if you think I'm kidding, let me give you an example of the vice president of the Missouri students, the vice president of the student body. What does she think about free speech? Go ahead and roll that.
I personally am tired of hearing that First Amendment rights protect students when they're creating a hostile and unsafe learning environment for myself and for other students here. I think that it's important for us to create that distinction and create a space where we can all learn from one another and start to create a place of healing rather than a place where we're experiencing a lot of hate like we have in the past.
Is this the dumbest thing you've ever heard? This is the vice, by the way, this is a coddled rich kid, by the way. If you go do your homework on this individual, yeah, she is a peach. She is a spoiled, rotten little gem. Spoiled, rotten little gem. Yeah, anyhow. She is the leader, one of the leaders of the crowd. At the University of Missouri, students have used all the classic tactics of being a bully to get their way. They've threatened and intimidated the staff, faculty, and student body into caving into their demands. They bullied the president, Tim Wolf, to resign. Other administrators and professors have also faced the wrath of race bullies, even though there is no proof that any of these folks should leave. The bullies are rising up across the nation, demanding that those of white privilege meet their demand or quit. meet the demands of bullies, or they will shut down classes, shut down sporting events, shut down higher education altogether, but they're not interested in education. They're interested in safe zones. The race bullies and profiteers don't care about real threats to black lives. That I can assure you. And watching some of the clips yesterday, when Asian women tried to speak up, they were quickly shouted down. It's not about inclusion of all. It's about inclusion of African Americans, apparently. But the likes of Tayshaun Lee still don't matter. Gunned down in Chicago. They just want safe places and complain about police brutality and lack of diversity on campus. But their diversity, there's only one kind. Bear in mind, there is not one bit of evidence, not one bit, that at the University of Missouri or Yale, or closer to home at the University of Michigan, that these institutions are hotbeds of racist activity. But don't let that truth get in the way of a good old-fashioned mob scene with the professors that they don't like. And by definition, what is a bully, my friends? Well, a bully is someone who uses superior strength or influence to intimidate someone else, typically to force them or her to do what they want. In a sentence, a college president was bullied into quitting his job. To persecute, to oppress, tyrannize, browbeat, harass, torment, strong-arm, dominate. Sound familiar? A blustering, quarrelsome, overbearing person who habitually badgers and intimidates other people. Sound familiar? It is time for schools to draw the line and say enough is enough. It is time for good people to stand up and say, no, we are not racists. I am not a racist. And we will not cave into your name-calling and insults and threats because you're trying to get your way by being a bully. We will not allow football players to boycott games. And if they do, no problem. They will lose their place on the football team like anybody else would. They will also lose the scholarships to go with those highly coveted opportunities for a free education and a chance to play football on a big stage. Those will go away as well. It's going to take some administration with courage. It's going to take some administration with backbone to stand up and say, you know what, then don't show up on Saturday. If you want to hurt your university by taking it that far, so be it. You will no longer be on the football team or basketball team or soccer team or whatever team it may be. And your scholarship will be gone as well, as it should be. Refusing to participate should certainly be grounds to lose your scholarship for sports, don't you think? No, it's time to say no more to the bullies, the race bullies, no more. It's time to stand up to the profiteers of race like we have in the past, but it's time to say, listen, to all you self-important, self-indulgent, narcissistic students wandering around campuses of America who have never paid a mortgage, never started a business, never done really anything of importance except wave your finger around at the rest of us. It's time for you to sit down and keep still. Let me tell you something. There's about to be a pushback. It's 14 after. It's the Steve Gruber Show. The hotline number, 888-900-9966.
Getting your day started with news from around the state and around the world. Common Sense Radio. This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Never before have I turned on you when you look too good to me. Your beady eyes that can cut me in two, and I just can't let you be. But it's a free for all, and a heart I said, you can bet your life. Stakes are high, and so am I. It's in the air tonight.
It is Free for All Friday. The phone number, 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. This hour brought to you in part by Mesa. Good health, good business, and great schools. As I mentioned at the top of the program, Governor Rick Snyder joining me here a little bit later on the program to talk about roads and taxes, the Middle Eastern refugees, and maybe most importantly today, guns. The governor is going to make some comments about concealed carry, the Second Amendment, and so forth that will surprise many. I will tell you that. You'll want to listen. So Keep that in mind. Keith on the line in Flint right now, WFNT territory on the hotline. Keith, welcome to the program.
Thanks for taking my call. I don't think I'm going to be listening when the governor speaks. Are you going to post anything on your at your website or anything?
Well, that is a great question, Keith, and may I answer that? At stevegruber.com, you can go there anytime you want. If you missed a program, there are complete programs available, and there are specific interviews powered by Podbean. There are podcasts available every day, Keith, for folks like you. If you can't catch it live, we've got you covered with Podbean at stevegruber.com. How'd that sound? Pretty good plug, huh?
Yes, sir. That covered the bases. Hey, I think these football players out in Missouri, isn't a scholarship akin to a contract?
Well, it is. That's my point. If you don't walk on the football field on Saturday, if you cost the university $1 million or whatever it may be, because you decide you don't want to show up because you feel aggrieved for whatever reason, you are violating the contract. That's my point. So therefore, if you don't want to play, that's no problem. You're off the team, and your scholarship is gone as well.
Yeah, and the other problem is that I believe the football coach joined in and took sides with them or encouraged them to take this action on the team's part. So that's kind of disheartening. The coach is supposed to be there to instill discipline in his players and get them to grow up and be men.
Agreed, but this is just a further extension of the lawlessness that apparently is the new norm in America that I'm going to tell you, Keith. As you know, there's going to be great pushback. This will not continue to fly unabated. This will get stopped because common sense people say that's enough. We've had enough. Okay, you've had your fun. You've had your temper tantrums. You've acted like, petulant children, and enough is enough. Give you one more thought, Keith.
Right. Yep, real quick, and I would be curious to see how the grade points are doing for these people who are doing all this protesting, or whether it's causing their studies to slip, because that's the important part. They need to get an education so they can get out and play in the adult world.
Well,
Thanks
Keith,
for
I
taking my
appreciate
call,
it.
Steve.
Yeah, thank you so much. And let's go back to that vice president of Missouri, that student vice president. Education, Alex Reed-Rack, the student vice president of Missouri, who says she is just tired of this free speech thing. Roll that one more time.
I personally am tired of hearing that First Amendment rights protect students when they are creating a hostile and unsafe learning environment for myself and for other students here. I think that it's important for us to create that distinction and create a space where we can all learn from one another and start to create a place of healing rather than a place where we're experiencing a lot of hate like we have in the past.
When I hear that drivel, it conjures up a word in my mind. What is that word? It's moron. It's the First Amendment, young lady, that allows you to sit there and badmouth the First Amendment. Of course, obviously, you've never been taught much about the Constitution, and if you were, you didn't care. But the Constitution of the United States, the magical document that it is, the historic document that it is, allows you to stand there and pontificate about the ills and the alleged hostility that you faced. And I'm pretty sure that she, in her privileged upbringing, I don't think she dealt with too much difficulty. That's Brenda Smith Lizama. You can go find out all about Brenda online. Back to the hotline now. Steve is on the line in Lansing. Steve, welcome to it.
Good morning. Am I correct that they're going to put off any road work for 3 years?
No, it's more like 5 years. Come on, get it straight.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for not being up with it.
Actually,
okay,
that's not true. Hold on.
If they offered everybody, if they developed a bond that would give 5% to the seniors, effective, they could set that up in February and probably have all the money they need by the 1st of March, and then they could have enough money to hit the ground running this spring.
Well, actually,
because
I need to correct myself.
The games are playing. If they're putting it off that much, just in costs alone for materials, you're going to see at least another 15%.
Yeah, let me jump in there. Hold on, Steve. Hold on. Let me jump in because the truth of the matter is we're already working on the roads, and it'll continue to ramp up. And so it's not really fair to say they won't start for 3 years. It'll continue to ramp up, but it won't be at full speed. My understanding, the funding mechanism won't be full tilt for another 5 years, all in.
And they could save so much money by just running a bond issue, giving 5% on an open-ended, we'll pay it through gas tax. We're being, once again, we said no to a referendum. We're being slapped real hard because we did say no, and this is the mess we're in.
No, fair enough. Don't miss the interview with the governor that's coming up here a little bit later on the program, Steve. You might need to use your phone one more time, because what we're going to do, we're going to talk to the governor for a period of time there, and then we're going to open up the phone lines for the rest of the day. So tell your friends, gather around, boys and girls. Class will be in session, and it's going to be a learning day here on the Steve Gruber Show. That phone number is 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. You can also find out more at a quick hit by looking at the Steve Gruber Show Facebook page. Any day, just glance at it. You know, if you click like, then when we're having a big interview with the governor, you'll know about it because I posted about it last night. And then, of course, as Keith asked about, SteveGruber.com, you can go there and find previous programs by listening to the podcast powered by Podbean. I'm Steve Gruber. It's Free for All Friday on the Steve Gruber Show.
The Steve Gruber Show. American values with Midwestern common sense.
It is Free for All Friday. And this is developing today. The Pentagon said late yesterday it had launched an airstrike in Syria targeting Jihadi John. Jihadi John, the British national seen in several of those videos beheading hostages held by ISIS. You probably, some of the more just the horrible videos. Jihadi John using that giant knife to cut off heads of Americans included, like James Foley and others. Pentagon spokesman Peter Cook confirming that the airstrikes in Raqqa directed at the notorious militant, also known as Mohammed Emwazi. It was not immediately clear when Emwazi died in the airstrike, but senior U.S. military officials say they are 99% sure they got him. 99% sure they swatted Jihadi John. It's all fun and games until a cruise missile arrives at your doorstep. Anyhow, let's shift gears. Let's take a quick break. We got him up early today, so let's talk to him about it. Ron Van Timmeren here from Celebration Cinema is making me think about that new Benghazi movie that's coming out here. I don't think that's for a few more weeks, but Ron, welcome to the program.
Morning, Steve. Yeah, that one is January 15, I believe, so got to wait a little longer for that one.
All right. Well, they're starting to pump it pretty early then.
Yeah, they are. I've read some reviews, too. They've been screening it, and everybody says it's fantastic. I love these kind of movies. So, it was a year ago that American Sniper burst on the scene. We could use another one of those kind of movies at the box office, too.
You mean it's good for Celebration Cinemas if people are lined up around the block buying popcorn and movie tickets?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it is.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, well, if not that movie, what is happening this week?
Well, I think Spectre and Peanuts are going to rule again at the box office. Some tracking thing suggesting Peanuts might be the new #1 movie in America. 3 wide releases this weekend. My All-American, which is a good-looking, faith-based biopic, inspirational movie, true story of Freddie Steinmark, who played for the University of Texas, and Coach Darrell Royal, played by Aaron Eckhart in this movie. And they went on to have an undefeated season and championship, but won the championship in 1969. This from the producer and writer of Rudy's and Hoosiers. So one of those kind of movies. I love those kind of movies.
Those movies all do really, really well because they're like, I'm just so proud of him right now. Sorry, Ron, that's the best I can do. I'm just so proud right now.
That's right. You saw Brian's song, too. Okay,
exactly.
I get you.
Brian
the
Piccolo.
Coopers, that's the first holiday-themed dysfunctional family getting together. So we've seen this movie before, but never with this cast. Diane Keaton, John Goodman, Ed Helms, Alan Arkin, Marissa Tomei, Olivia Wilde, Amanda Seyfried. That's rated PG-13. And then the 33, based on that true story of those miners that were trapped in Chile in the mine for 69 days. Remember that story?
I do remember that, yeah. That was pretty incredible.
Yeah, a very incredible story. Antonio Banderas plays the leader of the men trapped underground. Then, of course, you've got the story of everybody above ground trying to rescue them or waiting to see their loved ones. So a lot of suspense in the 33. And then a little political thriller, Steve, Suffragette, going back to early 20th century in Britain and the movement that brought women the right to vote. And it was not always pretty. I mean, that was kind of like the civil rights wars of the 50s and 60s. So Suffragette with Carey Mulligan, Helena Bonham Carter, and Meryl Streep starring.
So Meryl Streep pops up in there, too, so pretty good cast. All right. Well, though I see on the top 10 list, I need to get to the movies because the only movie I've seen in the top 10 is The Intern, which I thought was a good film. But The Martian, it's at like $200 million, Ron. I mean, it's really stacked it up.
Yeah, thank goodness. Otherwise, our October would have been really bleak. But that's going to be around at Oscar time, too, winning awards. So you're right. You got some catching up to do, man.
I got some work to do. All right. I guess I'll get started. Looks like a perfect weekend, by the way, to get out to the movies. Ron, thank you so much.
See you at the movies.
There you have it. Ron Van Timmeren, everybody, from Celebration Cinema. And it will be the perfect weekend to hide somewhere inside. So you might as well go get you a hot bucket of popcorn and have some fun with that, right? All right, then. Let's see. Where are we now? All right, let's see. Where are we now moving forward? And I continue to look at all these crazy headlines. These crazy headlines about these students. And I have to get this in around the edges because if I didn't, there wouldn't be enough room. But the University of Missouri Army ROTC members not walking around campus this week in their uniforms. Why? Threats from student protesters. That's right, the ROTC, the U.S. military, which, by the way, has proudly represented all races my entire life. And therefore, these little kids running around waving their fingers at everybody should understand that the U.S. military has been open to everyone, black, Hispanic, men, women, my entire life, which means it's been available to everyone their entire life as well. And yet, a professor of military science sent an email to members instructing them not to wear their uniforms because of threats made toward veterans and soldiers in the Columbia area. These people disgust me. I wonder how black veterans feel about that. I wonder how black members of the ROTC at the University of Missouri feel about that, or ROTC members that are black anywhere in America feel about the fact that they are being threatened and targeted for wearing the uniform of the United States of America. I wonder how Medal of Honor winners that are black and Navy SEALs that are black, men and women, how they feel about it. This is just ridiculous. Here's how it reads. The email, which is sent out earlier this week, reads in part, Team, there have been threats made against veterans and soldiers in the Como area. Therefore, as a force protection measure, do not wear your uniforms to class this week. You should wear your uniform for lab only, and you should not wear it around campus at all. The group's physical training sessions also canceled for the week for safety purposes. I mean, this is disgusting. Also, according to KOMU, news station right there, Lieutenant Colonel Todd Peredu originally gave the order via email after receiving news of a threat to a Veterans of Foreign Wars post in Columbia. Peredu said he did not want to subject his cadets to the media attention that wearing a uniform on campus brings. The American Legion Post 202 received a letter over the weekend threatening veterans as well, said Lieutenant Colonel Brent Unger. As a standard force protection measure, the Army and Air Force ROTC units instruct their cadets to wear civilian clothing while the threat persists. Congratulations, you little morons. You're attacking the very people that give you the right to run your mouths. You're attacking the very people of all races, of all backgrounds, of all financial strata that give you the opportunity to tell the world you don't believe in the First Amendment. Wow. The hotline number here on a Free-for-All Friday, taking your thoughts, 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. It gives you a headache, but if you don't stand up, well, I am going to stand up, and I'd like you, you right there, you're the one. You can stand up with me. You don't have to stand in front, or you can if you'd like, but I'll stand up. I'll make sure people know where we're coming from. 41 after on the Steve Gruber Show.
Michigan, born and raised with Midwestern values and Michigan common sense.
I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly like an eagle till I'm free.
All right, welcome to it. It's Free for All Friday here on the Steve Gruber Show. I appreciate the support from everywhere, actually. Appreciate your support. We're going to shift gears a little bit and go back to a story that we covered here recently, and we need to catch up on and give you an update on. And that is the ship in Lake Erie, that this old barge that was laden with oil and petroleum products and so forth, that sank long ago, but all of a sudden it seems to be leaking some, and so divers trying to figure out what's wrong with it. Tom Kowalck from the Cleveland Underwater Explorers here to tell us more about where we are with it. Tom, welcome back to the show.
Good morning.
So I understand we're going to take some samples from this. Now, what was the name of this boat again?
It was the barge Argo.
Yeah, there you go. And it's been down. Just give us the backstory real quick again about when it went down and what the problem is.
The barge was towed in by a tugboat back in 1937. It went all the way up to Sault Ste. Marie and picked up a cargo of light oils and benzol. They were taking it back to a refinery in New Jersey along the Atlantic coast. They got onto Lake Erie and hit one of our famous fall storms. It got caught out in the open lake, an area that the barge was never certified to be in. It only had about a 2.5 foot, that's 30 inches of freeboard. The part of the barge is stuck up above the water. And in heavy waves and a rough sea, it sunk out here about 12 miles offshore. It's been down there for about 78 years now, and I found it earlier this summer.
So that's always exciting for you when you find such a thing. But I guess when you're saying a storm, are you referring to a storm like we've just experienced here over the last 24 to 48 hours, where you've got 50-mile-an-hour winds, some gusts considerably stronger? That barge couldn't take that, could it?
Almost exactly the same situation as we just experienced. That's correct. And because it was so low in the water, loaded with the cargo it had, waves were constantly washing over it. And as you know, the lake's pretty powerful, and being towed out in the open like that, it just couldn't stand up to that weather, and it was overcome and sunk.
And that was it, and it went down in 1937. Now, fast forward, you find the boat. You're surprised. It's probably like finding a big prize, like Christmas morning for divers like yourself to find a new wreck, isn't it? Oh, it's fantastic. Everyone is exciting, yes. But this one is oozing a bit, or it's bleeding, or however you might put it. So there's a problem. So you're going to go down and sample. What's next here? Right. Well, we were doing an assessment dive on it after we had notified the Coast Guard, and initially there was no leakage observed from the wreck. Although over the years past, there's been numerous cases where reports have been turned in and monitoring by NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has suspected that there were leaks coming from something, but they didn't know for sure. And, of course, this barge was not located. NOAA did a report a couple of years ago about potential threats for serious leakage, such as a major oil spill. And this barge, the Argo, was the top most serious potential risk on the Great Lakes. So
when we were diving on it to get at some dimensional verification on it, we noticed some leakage at the surface, and we got a strong odor in the air, and we notified the Coast Guard. They've been out there ever since with their response teams.
So now, the last time we spoke, though, you said that the chance of this becoming a big problem was quite small, but you're taking no chances, apparently.
Well, I think the plan all along in their assessment was to what was the best course to take, and of course one of those possibilities was not to touch it at all, just leave it alone. But since then, because we get this intermittent leakage on there, the plan was to completely pump out all the oil that they can get off of the barge. They've been working on that now for since the decision was made.
So, all right. So, who finances these sorts of things? Is it the state government, the federal government? If you have a problem like this, where you have an old ship that's been down there for decades and it's got a potential hazard to the lake and to the environment, who picks up the bill?
Well, there's a federal fund that is being used for cleaning up all of these old sites where there's no known person responsible. If somebody spills something today and there's an owner or the person or truck carrier or something, they're responsible for cleaning it up. But if there is no one, this fund was created out of monies that are collected by all the oil companies and all the oil producing and using companies pay into this fund, and then money from that fund is used for any cleanups that they don't have a responsible party for.
All right. Well, I guess going into this winter weather, you'll be waiting till spring for a lot of it, Tom, because it's going to be under a foot of ice here shortly. And
well, they're hoping that they can move forward with this pretty quickly now. They've got a good sample off of one of the tanks. They're going to sample the rest of the tanks. Probably they'll start again maybe Sunday if the weather subsides enough.
I guess we'll find out.
Finish it. And they're going to try and get it yet this fall, if it's possible.
Well, there you go, Tom, and hats off again for finding this wreck, and good luck again next year. Tom Kowalck from the Cleveland Underwater Explorers. Thank you for the update as well. Good to know somebody's out there to make sure that we don't have a big problem, sir.
Thank you.
There you have it. It's these divers, and I know a couple good friends of mine that are certified divers that find these wrecks, and it's like, I don't know, it's like a huge trophy on their shelf, as you can imagine, when they find something that nobody else has found. It's a big deal. All right. Still to come, the governor on the program. Governor Rick Snyder will be here, and so much more. Stick around. It's Free for All Friday on the Steve Gruber Show.